all. This is Dr. Mobeen Sayed with one more talk today for the same video, a different point in video. And I'm sure that if you have watched this select committee hearing, then about the coronavirus pandemic, then you would actually know what I'm going to be talking about. But this has been disturbing me even after my last talk, that this is what was happening in a top agency that was responsible for the research for the infectious diseases, allergic and infectious diseases. And you would hear what they were saying about the people bringing up possibilities for the origin of this coronavirus. And what you would see is the rejection of any point of views that were not their own point of views. And then denigration of such people, defaming them, disparaging them, calling them names. And as much as this is one person and their testimony, and one can say that, well, this was the only one person, everybody else was pristine and shiny. But do you remember that the "you are not a horse, you're not a cow" tweet? That also came from somebody's mind to say, why not we just insult some of the people's, why not we just say you're not a cow or you're not a horse? So I think it was more widespread than one person. And this is how they were thinking when they were helping us in one of our worst times. Some members of this audience, Cool Bean said last time that, hey, World War II was. I was not there at that time. So for me, this is the worst time in my life so far that I've seen at this global level. And I cannot imagine that those who were supposed to protect us, supposed to take our side, supposed to be our, protectors, our scientists, our research workers. This is what they were doing to us. I just cannot get beyond that. And I saw many comments on my last video saying that, are you this naive? Are you this innocent? Are you this silly that you cannot imagine? While we all knew. I don't think, number one, we all knew. Number two, I don't think it is a matter of naivety or silliness. I just think that we should be able to trust these agencies. This is their function. We pay taxes for them to have their jobs to do this service. And it is correct to have trust in them. And as I said last time, there are doctors who are seniors to us. I look up to them to say, man, look at this doctor and look at their credentials and look at their career and what a wonderful life they have spent servicing and serving others. And then when you see this kind of rotten behavior, I think borderline criminal behavior, then of course there is disappointment. So hear this out. This is Dr. Roes. He is a Democrat from California. And you would see that in this select committee hearing of about 2 hours, Democrats or Republicans, they all had a similar voice. That why was this all done? Why personal emails? Why communication, official communication in the personal email? Why trying to avoid FOIA, Freedom of Information Act responsibilities, and why thinking the way they were thinking? And you would see that the Dr. Morens' response to this criticism was, I was trying to cheer up my friend Peter, who was under stress that people were threatening him. This is how you cheer up others, by insulting Americans, your own countrymen, your own citizens to which you serve. You would insult them to say, now does that make you happy? What kind of a friend is that who gets happy because you insulted some people? And then at that level, if somebody is standing at a street corner and speaking like that, maybe you would say, fine, this is how it is. This is the top scientist scientific research agency. This is the top research area, and this is what they were doing. So I want you to hear this, please. I'm going to be silent, as there was some criticism last time that I have to be silent. So hear this out, and I would then engage with you on the other side.
The ranking member, Dr. Reese from California, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you. When I was named ranking member of the Select Subcommittee, I made a commitment to keep an open mind about how the pandemic started, because understanding whether the novel coronavirus emerged from a lab or from nature is essential to better preventing and preparing for future public health threats and to better protecting the American people. Unless and until we see specific evidence on the origins of SARS-CoV-2, the scientific process requires that we examine all possible hypotheses with objectivity, which is why I have concerns, Dr. Morens, that you appear to have frequently denigrated and dismissed the gravity of this deductive process. In emails reviewed by the Select Subcommittee, you described laboratory-related origin theories as conspiracy theories and have said that considering these theories is quote-unquote wasting time and quote-unquote being crazy. While you have every right to evaluate the available evidence and to reach your own conclusion regarding the origins of the novel coronavirus, the maligning of other viewpoints by someone in your position undermines scientific discourse and reflects poorly on the research institution at which you serve. And for the record, I want to make it abundantly clear that Select Subcommittee Democrats take seriously the charge of examining the various pathways by which SARS-CoV-2 came to be, including the possibility that it emerged from a lab. It is not our position that thoughtfully and objectively exploring these possibilities is quote-unquote wasting time or quote-unquote being crazy. In fact, 2 of the 6 agencies instructed by President Biden to take an objective look have found, one with low confidence and the other with moderate confidence, that it could have possibly have been a lab leak. But let me remind everybody, too, that 4 of the others with low confidence believe that it came from animal transmission. So it is still inconclusive. But to the contrary, it is in the advancement of ensuring that our nation and the global community are in the strongest position to prevent and prepare for future novel virus and pandemics. So, Dr. Morens, with that in mind, let me ask you, is it your view today that all laboratory-related origin theories of COVID-19 are conspiracy theories?
No, sir.
And is it your view that evaluating lab-related origin theories is wasting time and being crazy?
No.
So can I ask, what has changed your perspective on these matters?
I don't think my perspective has changed, and I discussed this in my previous, in the...
I'm referring to thinking that they're crazy or a waste of
Well,
time. Has that changed, or do you still think that they're crazy?
They were made when I was thinking I was communicating in private off the government record, not as a government employee, but as a private citizen. And it was the same thing of dealing with Peter and these people of being snarky and sort of making, you know, it was the coin of the realm to try to cheer Peter up with snarky comments and often profane comments. I apologize for that. I never thought, I shouldn't do that, and I never thought it would be entered, you know, and put forward in front of the American people. I shouldn't have done that, obviously. I recognize that. I was trying to help a friend by cheering him up with black humor and things like that. I never thought it was crazy. I did, as you said, I did believe from very early on that the evidence suggested that the virus arose from bats. And the evidence also suggested to me that the possibility of a lab leak or an engineering of the virus was extraordinarily low. But if anybody, a reasonable person, thought, disagreed with me and thought that it merited further investigation, it should. I mean, you know, I'm only one scientist. There are other scientists, there are public officials who want to understand all this. Of course, if there's a reasonable belief out in the public domain that a lab leak occurred, efforts to find evidence of that should continue.
Now, an important aspect of the scientific process is acknowledging what the available evidence does and does not show us. And so I want to be clear that while I maintain an open mind to the various possibilities by which SARS-CoV-2 may have come to be, no evidence provided to the Select Subcommittee through our probe into federally funded research has demonstrated that the work performed under the NIAID grant to EcoHealth Alliance, including at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, led to the creation of SARS-CoV-2. The Select Subcommittee possesses no evidence demonstrating that any of the viruses studied under the grant could even possibly have been the progenitor virus. So with 6 months remaining this Congress, it is my hope that we take an objective, forward-looking approach to understanding COVID-19's origins. And with that, I thank you and I yield back.
So you heard it. I think it was a very balanced statement that we do not know still where did it come from. And I have a statement as well that I wrote. Once again, I usually just speak, preparing and then I speak. But this time I have written these things because I think it is important for you to hear what I was thinking. Otherwise, I'll just keep going off topic. So cheering up someone who was looking for a grant from your organization, who was a friend, by insulting people, insulting Americans. These people, these scientists, these doctors who genuinely were curious about an important aspect of the pandemic. Remember, people were dying. They were losing their financial well-being. They were being let go for not listening or obeying for the things that they were asked to do. And you are calling them crazy? You're calling this conspiracy theories? Just to ask, where did this evil come from? Did we not have a right to say what happened? Such a large damage, spanning over years. And people, if they dared ask that, hey, why did this happen? The answer was, if you don't agree with what we believe. Remember, he said, from very early on, I believed. It is a matter of belief or science. If it is science, you would go explore. You would do research. You would go figure out evidence. So if his belief was that it is from animal origin, then everybody else was a conspiracy theory and they were crazy. And I believe these agencies caused so much harm by thinking this way. They defamed people, they destroyed their careers, they ended up, if not directly, but by this kind of an attitude and these kind of statements, they destroyed people's careers, livelihoods. This was not at all leadership. Leaders do not do this. They were supposed to lead us. And this is what they were doing. And so they were calling people crazy. Just to ask where this evil descend on us. What happened? Tell us what the heck happened. Why are we in this state? Why are we locked down? Why are we being given vaccines? Why are we dying? Why are we getting long COVIDs? Why are we getting damaged? And the answer was crazy people, conspiracy theories. And for what? Just to cheer up your friend? Will that friend become happy that if you insulted Americans in front of him to say, oh, you know what? These are crazy people. That would cheer him up. So again, I have no problem for how these friends cheered up each other. But this was a top scientist saying these kind of things to, in their personal communication, to avoid Freedom of Information Act's discoveries. So who knows it was official or who knows it was personal? They mixed it. And this top scientist had access to Fauci as well. So we're not talking about some junior intern who may not yet have become fully, aware of the policies, ways of research, who needed to learn more. This is a 48 years long serving bureaucrat who was senior advisor to the top of the organization. And this is how he was behaving. So the question is, how many more people were busy dismissing, defaming, denigrating, disparaging others whose point of view did not agree with them? They were not that they were not Americans. They were not that they were some other race. They were just they were asking questions. Can you imagine during the pandemic that there were campaigns to do this, to insult others, to quiet them, to stop them from talking, asking questions? And I like Dr. Oase's point of view that he said, we are still not clear. There are six investigations, two of them, one with moderate confidence said it was possibly a lab leak, the other with low confidence, the other four said with low confidence that it is probably animal transmission. So still inconclusive. And he said, whatever I've seen so far, it doesn't look like it is engineered, but it needs to be researched. And that is how it should be. That is the intellectual curiosity of such a big event. It was not a small event that we had this global pandemic. So really disappointing, shameful behavior by those who were in the consequential positions. They were saying things. They were writing letter to American Medical Association. They were writing letter to medical boards. I have presented previously the letter to California Medical Board, and then the head of, so there is a governing agency or organization that works with all medical boards. A letter to them to say that people are talking about this and doctors are doing this, and make sure that you understand that this is not correct and that is not correct. This is what they were doing. Instead of burning midnight oil to learn, to see the studies, to have the curiosity, to have the open mind, to just, even if they came back after the research and said, you know what, we genuinely wanted to go and explore and figure out maybe it is a lab leak or engineered or bat or something else, pangolin, snake, some other thing. And we have come back and here is what our evidence is so far. That would have been much better than saying crazies, conspiracy theories. That's not scientific at all. So it was my belief. That was the statement. It was my belief that it is coming from the animal origin. How does that become science? And how do you get the right to quill, to suppress the scientific curiosity because your belief was something else? It is mind-boggling for me. I would once again request you, watch this 1.5 hour or 1 hour 45 minutes. There are Republicans there are Democrats there. They all have a similar curiosity for why this way of thinking was going on. Long COVID patients, I wish them well that they recover. Vaccine side effects patients, I wish them well as well that they recover. I wish we can do this scientific research. I wish we have this intellectual curiosity to go find solutions for them instead of just insulting people. Thank you very much and see you next time.